The glory of young men is their strength. Proverbs 20, verse 29. The glory of young men is their strength. Think physical strength, that's obviously true, but also think energy, think courage, think boldness, the ability to concentrate on a particular goal or mission and do whatever it takes to get there. And this is the glory of young men, the strength of concentration, the strength of courage, the strength of energy, and so on. About a year or so ago, we were down in Moab, Utah. And as we were driving down, if you've ever been there before, you know, you kind of drive down into this valley, and there are these massive mountains made of just sheer rock. And of course, the Arches National Park is just right outside of Moab, and all these cool rock formations that have been formed. God apparently carved a bunch of them in the flood. And as you're driving down into this valley in Moab, Utah, there's this gigantic granite orange mountain there. And we're driving down into the valley, and there's this train going along the mountainside, and that's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the mountain, it just disappears into the mountain. And I thought to myself, only men would think, let's blow a hole in it. I mean, all the reasonable people are like, let's just go around. No, let's go around. And they're like, wait, we've got dynamite. We've got a big, massive mountain, and they're saying we can't do it. Want to make a bet? A bunch of us will die in the process. Sign me up. Right? For the glory of being among those few who punched a hole straight through the mountain, and now it's like, 10 hours shorter or something. I don't know. That's what men do. Right? That's what men are for. They're for that kind of concentration, that kind of strength, concentrated to accomplish something good, to do whatever it takes to get there. God created men to lead and build and use their strength sacrificially for the good of those around them. But when men despair, when men give up hope in their potential, that strength is often twisted to destruction and evil. If it is not aimed in a healthy direction, if it is not aimed in a constructive direction, if it's not aimed and governed by the fruits of the Spirit, by virtue, then that strength is turned to evil. Think of this Jewish mob's vow. Now, I'm making a little bit of an assumption here that it's mostly young men, but it's kind of like that hole in the side of the mountain. Only young men would do this. And maybe there were a few older men that were ringleaders among them, but who takes a vow and says, we're not going to eat or drink anything till we killed somebody? A bunch of angry young men, right? But that's what happens, right? In its constructive form, men, usually under the age of 30, say to themselves, you know what? I bet you if we put enough explosives on the bottom of this metal tube, we could launch some of you guys to the moon, right? And they might not have taken any vows, but they barely eat or drink anything or sleep until they get it done. That's the glory of young men. That's the glory. They say, I bet we can get one of you guys to the moon, right? But in the absence of some kind of mission like that, in the absence of some kind of virtuous goal like that, they, in their frustration, in their nihilism, in their despair, will often form different kinds of alliances. They will join together, band together, and use their strength for evil. So this is why young men must know Christ. And they must place their hope in the power of his resurrection. They must know that God rules all the plots of men and turns them to his will. Young men who know Christ and know God's sovereignty are learning to use their strength like God does, learning to use their power like God does.